Sonic 3 has its Edgy the Hedgy voice in the bag, and it is in fact John Wick. And it does make a lot of sense to cast Keanu Reeves, not because he's really known as a voice actor. I don't even know how many roles that he's ever had without his likeness on screen. And, you know, as somebody who has, like the first game that I ever remember playing, I know that I played games before, but the first one that I have firsthand knowledge of, first console that I ever had and the first game that I ever had in my possession was Sonic 2. I know a little bit about the franchise, and not as much as, you know, diehard Sonic fans, which, oh boy, they're a breed of their own, but nothing about Keanu Reeves' voice really lends itself to Shadow the Hedgehog. But then again, you know, how many people kind of, you know, tilted their head to the side and went, Jim Carrey's a really good choice for Dr. Robotnik? See what ends up happening, because I hear a lot of good things about these Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and the fact that, if you remember, if you go back in the cut in the early days of 2020, when the initial trailer from the first film came out and everybody looked at that Sonic the Hedgehog and went, oh my god, you guys are actually going to put that out on the screen, huh? And then the creators of the film went, you know what, we've received some interesting feedback for our design choices, and we're going to take it back to the booth. And that they redesigned it, and you know what, hey, ended up getting some goodwill from the fan base, which is a very hard fan base to crack, and it ended up doing extremely well for them. I heard that you can just take a look at the numbers of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, not the game, and the fact that it performed fairly amicably at the box office as well. Good on it. So, well, it looks like a questionable casting decision outside of the sheer star power, because in the day of the dwindling movie star, Keanu Reeves very much is so. Somebody that would fit that billing. Regrettably so, because can you think of anybody who is at that level that is under the age of 45? Hollywood's toast, bro. If you don't think that woke's gonna kill it, well, it's just, you know, simple. Father Time is undefeated. We finally know who will be voicing Edgy the Hedgy in the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and it's reportedly a big star, Keanu Reeves. The news comes from the Hollywood Reporter today, which says multiple sources have confirmed the casting to the outlet. IGN has reached out to Paramount Pictures and Reeves' reps for comment. As news has slowly trickled in about the upcoming sequel, the question of who would be playing Shadow the Hedgehog has easily been one of the biggest ones, and fittingly, the reveal comes just a few days after Sega dubbed 2024 Fearless Year of Shadow, and then Shadow came out on stage and he went, now Sonic, I have become fearless, and then pulled back the slide on his Glock, and then he just started blasting. He's a really cool character, guys, in anticipation of the Sonic X Shadow Generations. Oh, they're doing another Sonic Generations games? Those are great, by the way, in addition to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Reeves joins cast members James Marsden, Ben Schwartz, Tika Sumpter, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, Lee Majub, Idris Elba. Alright, because Idris Elba is Knuckles. And Jim Carrey, yes, something of a surprise, as Carrey previously said. He was seriously considering retiring from acting after Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Kristen Ritter and a bunch of other people that I don't recognize at all. It's another big franchise for John Wick's Reeves. It's so funny, man, because remember how much of a goober Reeves was looked upon before The Matrix? Like, he was the surfer guy, like he was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and then he became known as, you know, The Matrix's Keanu Reeves, and then ever since, 2014, when the first and only good John Wick came out, he's just kind of been John Wick in everything that he's done. It's just so crazy, the different career twists and turns that this guy has had. I think his longevity is mostly due to the fact that nobody has anything bad to say about him. Like, he's just a generally likable guy who does a lot of good things, both behind the scenes, and when you do hear about it, it's mostly from a third-hand accounting. Because he's not going to be one of those guys just going, hey, listen, this is how cool I am. This is all of the good stuff that I'm doing. In doing research for this, I also found out he's like got a cancer charity that he's been running for 2 years that he never told anybody about. I think it was after wrapping, it might have been John Wick 4. Either John Wick 4 or that atrocious Matrix film that came out a couple of years ago. He bought everybody a Rolex. He's just a nice guy. I like him for that. I just don't like many of his films. But then again, I don't really like many films today anyway, so who knows? Sonic 3 might be great. I know the game is. But yes, it's another big franchise for John Wick. Reeves. I was just going to say for John Wick because, like I said, you know, he's just basically John Wick and everything now. As well as yet another video game connection for the actor who played, yes, Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, funnily enough, his Sonic co-star Elba, yes, starred in Cyberpunk's 2077 Resuscitation Phantom Liberty. Kind of strange, right? Because that was CD Projekt Red's big follow-up to The Witcher 3 that launched to, well, an interesting debut, and I think that was 2020 as well. And then, yeah, at the end of last year, had Phantom Liberty come out, and I heard that it was better and it made the game playable after 3 years of release. But that's just modern day CD Projekt Red for you. Anyways, Reeves has been dabbling more in voice work in recent years. Okay, having voiced Batman in 2022's DC League of Super Pets. Ooh, I think that's because that's an Illumination joint. It's their worst reviewed film. And Duke Kaboom in Toy Story 4. So he hasn't had like a lot of success. Two of the worst films in animation in recent years. But hey man, maybe third time's a charm. Yeah, well, find it interesting casting. It's not bad casting. Definitely not something that the fan base would turn their nose up at. For diehard Sonic fans, any opportunity that there is for Sonic to get a much broader appeal like it was during the early 90s, during the console wars, to try to bring it back up to that same level is a welcome addition. So as long as Keanu doesn't upset the fan base, spoilers, he's not going to. It's going to be a gigantic W for the production. Whereas you can't quite say the same for Rachel Zegler. It's hilarious, man. You don't even have another bomb under your belt because you take a look at her resume, West Side Story, complete and total failure. Shazam 2, come on, does anybody even remember that film came out? And oh yeah, Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Oh, let me just check again. All right, lost money. A lot of money. And Snow White. Oh, and Snow White's going to be coming out in March of 2025. I can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you for that beautiful birthday present, Rachel Zegler. Your flowers are in the mail. Oh, they'll be just as fresh now as they will be in the future. But okay, Snow White remake star Rachel Zegler tease a Romeo and Juliet project. Now, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago where we just talked about Romeo and Juliet project, and to be completely honest, she would have been better casting opposite Tom Holland. Again, she would have had to been live and on stage, and we know that she can't act to begin with, so that would have been tough. After bringing a classic Disney princess to life as the star of the upcoming Snow White remake, CBR, are you guys high? We've seen a couple of still images. She hasn't done a damn thing. And who knows how much of that stuff is getting repurposed anyways. Ziggler has set her sights on another iconic character. Yep, because she can't create ones of her own. Like, just compare and contrast that to Keanu Reeves. Okay, and I understand that, you know, Ziggler doesn't quite have the same resume as Keanu, but I also pointed out that there's been different points in time where you had Speed was the most notable franchise Keanu had on his CV, then it was The Matrix, then it was John Wick, and I understand not everybody's as fortunate to go from such legendary franchises one to another, but compare and contrast that with Rachel Zegler. I just lined up some pretty big names that she's been a part of, and every single one of them has suffered because of her presence. And if you think that a live action remake in a 2025 landscape coupled with Disney, do you think that's going to be a good thing? I got news for you, you stupid. Save you some money on an IQ test and hand you out whatever I have reading on my thermometer. As teased on social media, Ziggler seems to be taking on a well-known Shakespearean role for an upcoming project. On her Instagram account, Ziggler shared a cryptic image that featured the letter J. Oh yeah? And a caption including emojis for a heart and a dagger. So she's going to be starring in the upcoming feature film Junt. She also tagged the location as Verona, the Italian city that serves as the setting for William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Meanwhile, Heartstopper and his Dark Material star Kit Connor shared a similar photo on his own Instagram account with the letter R, and the two images together read R plus J. I would prefer R plus L equals J, but then again, we're going to have to wait for a fat guy to get into his cabin to finish writing some books in order to get that confirmed. That's a little Easter egg that you're going to have to do some homework on to figure out. Us when placed together, making the connection to Romeo and Juliet that much more apparent. Like, okay, come on. Like, I understand Sonic 3. Okay, Sonic 3, going back to Keanu Reeves for a second. Okay, that is, again, that's an adaptation. But that's also telling a completely different story than anything that has been put into any of the video games. So you can kind of get a pass on that because you're taking characters doing something that has been generally well received and taking it to a different medium. That's fine. There's a reason that there are several beloved Sonic cartoons. Sonic Saturday Morning. Oh, there's a couple of other ones that are out there. There's just that was the big popular one at the time with the right proper Dr. Robotnik, who was big and fat and had a cone head. Sonic's such a weird franchise. Okay, but that already, Like, outside of having a couple of recognizable faces, recognizable characters, it's a wholly unique idea. How many times do we need to have Romeo and Juliet retold? Okay. Like, I talk about this quite a bit, where there's nothing inherently wrong with telling an old story. There's nothing wrong with a sequel, prequel, reboot, as long as you have the right people in place, the right story to tell, and a reason to be telling the story. I don't know who Kit Connor is. Might be a nice guy, but I know who Rachel Zegler is, and she's not going to put butts in seats when it comes to Romeo and Juliet. Because when you're telling a story with heavy emphasis on a love story, okay, the only time that you want to see and hear Rachel Ziggler and the term pucker up is as long as that it's followed up with a slap to the face. Best of luck with another bomb on your resume. Who knows? Maybe it'll only take 5 shells to take down the SS Ziggler, so we won't have to hear from this insufferable feminist anymore. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.